Hey Postables, you're listening to Deliver Me a Podcast brought to you by Casey, Jess, and Cammie. A special thanks to James Jandrish for letting us use music on our show. Now, grab some yoo-hoo, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back, Postables. We are here to finish our discussion of To the Altar. And we have our props still. I still have my tie on and the same clothes that I wore last week.
So yeah, and I still have plenty of tissues. So
I've still got my necklace. It's still on.
All right. And Jess has got her mop.
She still got her mop. We might need that.
Grab your props, Postables, and let's dive back into our conversation about To the Altar.
Oh boy.
Okay, mop!
Clean up on aisle C and S.
Gotta get the big guns back from the floor. There you go.
Oh,
it's a little dirty.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so from the very beginning, Shane and Oliver, #Sholiver, they're in love.
No.
we see the flirting, the eye connection thing. We see.
I love it when you get all Miss McInerney on me.
Okay, let's start there. We see everybody, they're all frazzled for different reasons. Everybody runs out. Shane's running after this package that Norman accidentally shipped.
Poor Norman. Off. His name is being shouted about 500 times. Norman! 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 Oliver's the only one who says it calmly. Norman, Oliver. Surely you have a cousin.
Everybody is freaking out, and it's so funny to watch Oliver just take it all in, and he doesn't even react. Everybody leaves, and he's kind of like,
"Okay, then."
Off to my meeting about diagonal parking spaces, because that's what you do at the post office.
Yes,
apparently,
it's very important for department heads.
Endless meetings about parking lots.
But when Oliver runs into Shane, and Shane is, trying to be sneaky coy about this package,
sly,
very sly,
and she gets all up in his ear and says, "I love it when you get all Miss McInerney on me." I had to pause the movie. I go, oh, this is a Hallmark show.
He smiles.
That is as sensual as it gets on Hallmark, y'all.
No. We're not there yet. We got to go to the next scene to get as sensual as it gets.
Here's the thing. We hadn't gotten there yet. I thought that was like,
hello.
Yes. We've got Oliver being contemplative and Shane being brazenly manipulative.
And the way that Oliver smiles, clears his throat, and kind of goes up on his toes and back down. It's just to see Oliver reacting to Shane, because he's like, I can't bend the rules because you and I are, especially because we are. Just the batting her eyelashes at him. It's like, oh man,
she's really playing it up. She is
pulling out all the stops.
She sure is. And when she calls after him and she's like, "Remember Diana?" Oh my, I just want to be in Oliver's head for a second, because I'm sure there are a lot of things he wanted to come back at but couldn't, because he's a professional. Because he probably would have said, "Are you flirting with me, Miss McInerney?" Let me try that again.
But he settles for, I'm late for the parking meeting.
Good answer, Oliver. Good answer, especially in a workplace.
Yeah.
It was the cutest smile on his face when he said that.
It was a very cute smirk. Very cute smirk. All right. So here's the thing. The dials have been turned to pretty hot.
We're not at broil yet, but we're at pretty hot.
We're pretty hot. Okay. Casey is like, okay. Then we get to the DLO, and Shane just cannot help herself. First of all, is there a bathroom in that DLO? Because
anyone could have walked in there.
I would not. I don't know about you guys. I would not, even if my curiosity was dying, I would not have crossed my workplace, put on a wedding dress, and crossed back through the workplace in the event that somebody would see me, anybody, and then go stand and admire myself in the mirror. I would have clocked out, taken that bad boy home, and been like,
Also, why is there a full-length mirror in the middle of the DLO?
There's everything in the DLO. Come on, Jess.
I know.
somebody shipped it because it's an antique, and then it got lost, and then they couldn't discover the writer.
They thought it was the magic mirror on the wall.
So, would you guys have done that?
No.
Put on a dress?
No. I don't even wear dresses to work to begin with.
Cammy would. She's the romantic. Sensational
But
curiosity.
a wedding dress at work? I mean,
I don't.
even for a romantic.
The big thing is that the big thing is a couple of things. Number one, she's completely alone.
But anyone can walk in.
I know.
And someone does.
She's completely alone. And I mean, the big thing is she can't wait. She cannot wait because she is so in love with that dress. I mean, there's a lot of talk of, is that dress really her style? I thought it looked pretty on her, but I mean, whether or not it was just the idea of trying on a wedding dress or she just loved the fabric, either way, she could not wait to try that on. She just couldn't. And so she was completely alone. No one ever goes in there except the four of them. And the other three are occupied. So she thought that she had time.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that interruption, shall we? Okay.
I think I need to take off my sweater.
Oh my gosh.
The music, first of all.
Oh.
Music playing in the background.
Oh.
Oliver walking in and seeing his woman in a very white dress that resembles a wedding dress. The look on his face
Resembles.
Is.
the look on Oliver's face. I think in that like split second he goes from like shock to awe to confusion to being in love. I don't know. It was a great look.
All the emotions.
It was
in
a look
3
enough to go,
seconds.
here's the dial of heat.
We're on broil now.
Flames.
But when we see someone buttoning the dress.
Such a simple gesture, but dang, that was such an intense moment. Oh my word.
I was gone. I think I tweeted when we were watching this, I'm pretty sure I tweeted something like, oh my word, I think I've died. And Eric Navius retweets it and said something like, I hope you're still living or something along those lines.
Who said that?
Eric.
Oh,
my tweet about me being dead over this.
He was very, very concerned about your well-being.
apparently.
Well, I thought it was just so funny how I know.
Funny? You dare say this moment is funny?
Ironic, is that a better word? I found it
Ugh.
ironic how flustered Shane got when, like, 5 minutes earlier, she was the one who was totally in control, and Oliver is flustered, and we never see Oliver, I feel like, be super confident and, like, in sort of that sense with the romantic arena. And I just thought it was funny or ironic how he was just like buttoning her up and like, I'm just gonna be all like smug, and you're the one who's gonna be all flustered this time.
Shawl, a tablecloth,
Cocktail
and
dress.
the
Mhm.
smile he was giving her. Oh my gosh.
Mark just completely made this because he was relishing in the fact that, I got you now.
But that first moment when he takes a hold of the dress, she takes that deep breath in, and he just goes, shh. Didn't want to ruin the moment. Oh, so beautiful.
So the first time I watched it, I did not hear the shh because I was too busy screaming and squealing and, yelling at my husband to go away.
Well, see, there was a shh in there.
Different shh for a different reason. But when I watched it again, and oh man. Okay.
Whew.
Woo.
I don't think I needed to put any blush on this time.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well,
Whew.
these two characters, I mean, we've known they've not said I love you yet, but they do love each other. Their love has grown for each other, and the different kinds of love, to throw it back to Oliver's, Greek lesson to Shane in from the heart, 1 in a million.
1 in a million.
1 in a million.
Or no, from the heart. Sorry.
Oh, it is
Yeah, I
from,
think it was from the heart.
it was
Yeah,
their
it
date
was.
that went awry. But
But it was before it went awry.
But it was still good.
Yeah, when it was still a good date.
That brief moment in time
Oh man.
before somebody inserted their foot into their mouth multiple times.
Well, he has learned. Instead, he's now buttoning
He
someone
just
up.
says shh now.
Now he knows not to talk about, burying things with dead animals, and he's come a long way.
He knows
We've
how to
moved
not
on from
remember.
that.
Plant your
But-
roses with your dead pet. Now,
But these two characters, I mean, even though they've not said I love you, they are so obviously in such this deep, desperate love for one another. Just in, and we were like, what, 10 minutes in the movie? And we're like,
We can't go on. We can't go any further.
I have no words. But this also prods Oliver to become contemplative. And
Well, he was contemplative before that.
well, he's even more
So-
contemplative now.
He's even more contemplative now.
And it's interesting, this movie, because usually Oliver is the one that is, he's got if he doesn't have the problem like he did with his father in Truth Be Told, he's usually, we see everything through his eyes, right? So we see that he's the one that's solving the problems. He's the one that's going to the letter people, the writers, and having these profound situations and conversations and blah blah blah. But this movie, Oliver almost kind of takes a step back a little bit.
Mhm.
And everything is kind of told through his eyes, like, and not his point of view. I'm saying, like, through his acting of his eyes, and like the way he looks at Shane, and the way he cocks his head, and the way he just kind of like, his brain kind of goes away for a little bit, and we see that inner something is going on with Oliver. And I thought that was really interesting because he's he's the quote unquote hero of the story. He's always the one that everybody goes to, but this time he takes a step back, and it really is about the ladies in this movie. It's really about Rita.
It is.
So I thought that was very interesting. Well, shall we go?
Coming down.
Let's also go to other fun stories, such as the tradition with the ugly green tie, because Oliver cannot plan a bachelor party properly, according to Shane.
Let's cater these cucumber sandwiches.
Let's have a chocolate fondue fountain.
Hot.
Let's have
wings?
tea pastry. Let's have tea pastries made by Norman's cousin Vernon, since he's making the wedding cake. Shane and Dad just both dying. But I love Joe right here. He's looking around, just trying to listen to Oliver, trying to keep a straight face, like, oh dear. And then Shane makes her comment, and he's just laughing behind.
Bachelor parties are about beer and Cheetos out of the bag.
and Vernon plays the spoons too. Maybe he could do a musicale. Really? No! It's just Dad's reaction right there, just laughing behind his hand. No. Oh my goodness.
Poor Oliver. Oliver, I would have gone to the bachelor party. I like chocolate fondue.
Be very classy.
I like tea pastries, but you know, it's no red plastic cup.
It's no wings. Look at those boneless wings. Oh my goodness.
And it's no Cheetos out of the bag.
I love when Oliver's just like, really, Dad? It's very boyish. Very innocent. Well, we discover the story of the ugly green tie. All right.
Oh, for all the Heartlanders out there, did you notice that their great something grandfather was Randall Bartlett O'Toole?
Never seen it, so can't say.
Oh, you don't watch Heartland?
There's like 700 seasons of that.
It's true.
Well, if you had started 700 seasons ago, you'd be caught up.
It's not that I don't want to watch Heartland, it's because I just haven't.
Okay, but anyway, so
I've watched Heartland. I didn't notice, actually. I didn't pay any attention.
Yeah. All right. This story, what did you guys think of this really strange, random story that is being just thrown out there? I thought it was an O'Toole random thing that happens, because those O'Tooles can tend to be a little random, but you know.
Yeah, I thought it was fun and like whimsical to have this little like odd tradition of an ugly green tie. I thought it was, I don't know, I liked it.
I loved it. I knew I knew going into the movie, because I had seen a picture of Shane with the ring on online or something, and my best friend Sarah had pointed it out to me, and so I knew that Oliver was going to propose. So when I'm listening to this story, I'm just like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. But I love that there is a family folklore. I think it's adorable to have something passed down from father to son. And the other thing is, I think it is so sad that Oliver hadn't gotten to do it.
I mean, I'm actually really happy he did.
Well, don't mistake me. He did it with the right person, but at the time that Holly proposed to him, and then 3 hours later they're at City Hall.
I know. I was like, what?
For somebody like Oliver, I'm just like, he seriously was okay with that? I mean, it takes out a lot of fuss, and Oliver's all about eliminating fuss.
But he's also really about tradition.
He's also about tradition and ceremony. And so the fact that he was okay with that is okay, somebody got blinded by love.
Or
but you know,
he turned him orange. Got a bucket of paint, and that throwback to our last episode about personality typing. So.
For a good 5 minutes that it took to say I do, and then his orange went kaput again. But Holly proposed, and then there was no real ceremony. It was 3 hours later.
Yeah.
So
almost sad.
At that time, can you imagine that Oliver probably thought that he let the family down in a way? Because he didn't get to carry it on, and he thought that he was now married and it was gone for good.
Well, he was so estranged from Joe. I'm not sure he would have actually cared at that point.
But that's a good grandfather.
Point. He loved the O'Tooles, though, and every O'Toole man. I mean, because he was estranged from his father at that point, maybe that's probably why he let it slide. But there was probably that sadness.
Yeah. That
he hadn't been able to carry on the family tradition. But we're very glad that he didn't carry on that family tradition until now.
Yes. And something tells me that Holly didn't even propose necessarily. She probably just said, Oliver, let's get married. Let's go.
Okay.
And he probably just went along with it. And I don't consider that a proposal because you're not asking a question. Anyways.
Details.
Details.
Oh, Shane and Oliver, #Sholiver, they go through this journey of there's almost miscommunication. There could have been a lot of miscommunication because Oliver is just not communicating with Shane, but she knows him well enough to let him be and
let him contemplate.
And let him contemplate. And then we also see, especially at the bachelor party. And
which he forgot.
Which he forgot. And
I love that. Like, you forgot.
Mr. O'Toole.
But his avoidance of Shane and Oliver's talk with Joe.
And Joe totally calls him on it. Like, you have not looked Shane in the eye tonight. What's going on with you?
Yeah, there are a lot of POstables who there's been a lot of discussion about this because there's some that have thought that Joe was discouraging Oliver from proposing.
Yeah, I think they did that to throw him off because when you think about it, that conversation could have been for either direction.
Yeah.
I think I was just confused, to be honest, because at first I felt like he was just trying to figure out why, like Kami said, like, you haven't looked her in the eye. What's going on here? But then the second conversation after, when they're cleaning up, when he's like, you have to face that you're two different people. I felt like that was very cryptic. And I definitely was like, what
are you doing, Joe?
What are you saying?
Right.
What are you saying here? Because they are very different people, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. But I felt like his tone kind of implied that it was.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that he was just trying to get him to face up to it. So his tone made it sound, and they totally did this on purpose to lead us away from the idea that Oliver was going to propose. To get us in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But his tone and the lines, if you look at it the right way, it could have gone either direction, like I said. But I do think that he was using some reverse psychology. Just that, well,
sneaky Joe.
You're two very different people. No, we're not. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would think he was trying to get Oliver to face the music towards the light of matrimony.
Yeah.
Just using it as reverse psychology.
Yeah. I agree. Although I think it's a really odd way to
It is. It's a very odd way.
But let's talk about the man of the hour currently, Norman and Rita, because we have a lot more to go on with Shane and Oliver and all of that, and it all tie in at the end. But while we're at the bachelor party, let's back up a little bit with Norman and Rita. Norman and Rita they're the levity of movie. Their florist is quitting. The minister has measles. There's shenanigans going on. We can't find grandma.
Couples counseling with Ramon. Don't ask.
Don't ask.
It's like, oh, Norman.
Let's not forget
the dip.
Oh.
And dip.
That's, first of all, that's a very perfect dip.
Yes.
Oh,
very well executed.
Zach. Good on you, Zach. That was perfectly executed.
Perfectly executed.
How many takes? He didn't say how many takes it took to do the dip, but he said that the scene was getting increasingly harder because Jeff was making him laugh so much, and eventually he got scared of Martha. So he said, okay, I better do this right.
Yeah. But we also have grandma pop out of a cake.
Oh my God.
It is me, your grandmother. Another callback from the series when she says the exact same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I knew when the cake was happening, I knew that there was not going to be anything scandalous inside. But I was like, what the heck? Or rather, what the Sam Hill?
What the Sam Hill?
I mean, when the feathers start rising out of the cake, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
And their faces were priceless.
They were.
Like,
and then Oliver's, what the Sam Hill? It's a laptop.
Oh my goodness.
with the queen of the Biami tribe herself.
Oh my gosh.
It's my grandma.
That was classic. Okay. This is another scene, but I gotta bring it up. When she is when she's helping Bill weave the wedding blanket.
I love that.
It's very, very sweet, but I'm gonna go levity on this one. Did you see how we never saw the servant, Constantina? We never saw her face, and I am betting you anything that she turned away from the camera on purpose so she wouldn't ruin the take because she couldn't stop laughing. I saw there were several times when Carol Burnett was doing something weird and Constantina just slightly rotates. So she's like, oh, I bet you anything she's turning away from the camera so she doesn't ruin the take.
Yes, going back to the bachelor party, Norman is showing off his grandma to everybody, and she's meeting Bill, and they have a really strange connection.
Very strange connection. It's sweet, but it's the most random thing that could happen.
You know, any other movie or any other characters, it'd be really like out of left field, but it really fit because we hear that Sonny had started this blanket, right?
Sonny started the wedding blanket for Norman and Rita,
but then it couldn't continue, and of course, because it's grandma, she knows how to complete the blanket, and so they're able to complete it together.
Sweet.
It's very, very, very sweet. Well, there are more problems for Norman and Rita.
Oh dear. These
But
two can't catch a break.
before we get to that problem, we do have a another moment of mopping as the four Postables are leaving Jessica and Annalise. Norman takes a call. Shane and Oliver are by themselves. And Shane says,
I love us.
us. To which Oliver says,
So boldly says,
I love how he did it because he didn't just blurt it out.
Mhm.
He was about to, but then it's almost as if he realized the weight and the worth of his words.
Mhm.
So it was a knee-jerk reaction, but he stopped himself to make it mean more. It was it was beautiful. I love us, and I love. Stop walking, turn and look her straight in the eye, and I love you.
breathe.
Trying, okay?
It did add a lot more intensity that, him having that moment of a bit of a pause, like he just it hit him. Like he knew it, but then he really thought about it. He's like, oh,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I really do.
I do. I love you.
And from Shane's perspective, because she has a way of making Oliver just stop what he's saying and just forget about it, or she has a way to make him go, I'm going to change directions now. So for her to hear these words after the pause, to hear I love you from Oliver.
And it's interesting that he's the one who says it first, being how careful and reserved and cautious he's been up until this point, and that he's the first one to say, I love you.
There have been so many things that Shane has done first. I love that this was something that Oliver did first. I'm very old-fashioned in that way. I mean, the fact that Oliver said it first to her, it carries such a great weight, it carries such a huge weight. It just in a day and age when relationships are very flighty, and when men many times are seen as cads and flighty and going from relationship to relationship, and women are the ones who make them settle down and all of that. Just to hear Oliver say, I love you first, it's just, but it's like reading a romance novel.
Well, romance novels usually don't follow that with skunks, angry skunks.
Right.
Right. But I will say too, I think that Shane has enough respect for Oliver to know that she may be more contemporary than he is, and he may be very, very, very traditional, but she loves him to respect that about him. And she knows him well enough that if she says it first, he might get slightly offended. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because he's very traditional. And so I really appreciated that about this moment, and Oliver saying, I love you first. And again, he has made her flustered because she's like, huh, you do.
Her response was the perfect Shane response, because at first it's, oh, you do you? Slightly flippant, slightly out there, very Shane, but she turns around after making it kind of a lighter moment. She turns around and says, I love you so much. And then they get interrupted by the skunks. But there's no
there's something you don't hear every day.
There's no I love you too. So it's no copycat. If you've been
true.
If you know me, then that you know that that's a pet peeve of mine.
It also comes after, because she says, "Oh, you do," and he says, and I'm contemplating what to do about
what
that.
to do with that? Yes.
And that's when
Oliver
it gets all flirty again, and that's when she says that I love you so.
Skunks.
Oh my, I thought that was all we were gonna get. I was like, if this is all we get, and the ring was a figment of my imagination, I can still die happy as long as we get another movie. Oh my.
Can't let the skunks steal the show.
Nuh-uh.
Well, the skunks have infiltrated the church, so we have to move this wedding to
To
the
a barn.
and
Those skunks.
the grand finale of this movie is the much anticipated wedding of Norman and Rita.
And do you love Hazel narrating everything?
Of course Hazel's gonna know everything.
I loved that. I loved it that it was Hazel that kind of brought it all full circle, getting everybody caught up on the history.
We have Kebmo.
Kebmo's back.
Kebmo playing.
Yes. And so I've seen so many wedding movies and so many romantic stories and such, but there was something really special about this one. And I think it's the relationship between the four Postables. We see Norman and Rita, and we see the very, very, very start of their relationship to their wedding. We see the father-daughter moment between Rita and Bill. We see the friendship growth between Shane and Rita. I mean, Shane at first is like, you all people are so strange in the pilot, to this is my family. This is my sister.
I love you. That the two of them together, this is it. I love you. I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's the sweetest thing.
So sweet.
Thank you.
And their Rita and Shane's friendship just is so deep. They are sisters. I mean, they just have that relationship that anybody would want to have with a close friend, or even a biological sister or a sister-in-law or whatever, but somebody who is that deeply connected to you and has been there with you since day one. I mean, that is just, and knowing too that in real life, Crystal and Kristen, they didn't really know each other going in. In fact, there's a funny story about when Crystal walks into table read for the first time. And she is a bombshell of a lady, let me tell you. She is a beautiful woman. And there, Kristen said to I don't know if it was the casting director or somebody.
I can't remember who.
But she goes, "What is happening?"
She has this role? What?
And apparently Crystal saw that exchange and thought, I don't know what I'm doing here either. But going from not knowing each other to being there for each other in real life too, I mean, that just made this scene so much more, just knowing how close friends they are. And Crystal's even shared that Kristen was there or had visited one of the first visitors when her daughter was born. And like, that's just really special.
Yeah, it is. And when you think about the relationship between Shane and Rita, I mean, think about how the movie started in the first place. It's all about Shane giving Rita this huge gift of the last week of being single.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was taking her out to do everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not gonna come cheap.
No.
And I mean, she probably doesn't have a whole lot of expenses because it's just her, but still, that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
And to plunk all that money down for just anybody, you wouldn't do that. But she takes her sister to take her shopping. She takes her shopping for sexy clothes a lot. Have you noticed that?
It's true.
Slinky.
Steamy. I mean, first we've got Christmas, and now we've got this. So,
Yeah, we had that. Oh, and the time she gave her the makeover.
Oh yeah.
right.
This is 3 times now.
Yeah, so she takes her shopping for sexy clothes a lot. But
The testament of a true friendship.
absolutely.
100%.
But you see all facets of this beautiful sister relationship. You see the fun side, the playful side. You see Shane going to great lengths for her. And even the problem with Norman's grandmother not being able to find her,
Shane solves
Shane
it.
steps in.
Mhm.
Shane steps in and solves it. And then you go to the very end, right before Rita gets married. This is it. Ah.
So sweet. And
is.
before we get to the actual marriage ceremony, we do have to also talk about Norman and Oliver and their brotherly relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I have it right here, big brother. I put it right here in my notes. It's just, that handshake. Just, you have been there for me from day one. It's all there in that one little gesture.
Yeah.
And then Oliver comes back with the handshake and then the hug that says, "I'm so proud of you."
It's so sweet.
Mm.
Oh. And and like I said, just seeing their relationships grow over the course of the last 20 stories here.
Yeah.
It just makes this movie and this ending of To the Altar just even more special. Along the lines of Norman and Oliver and their brotherly relationship, we also have this very brotherly discussion while they're trying on tuxes. And Norman is very worried and is a little nervous about his wedding night, as he and Rita had made the decision to stay pure before marriage. And they had never been intimate with anybody else before. And this was the decision that they made because they wanted it to be special and with the right person. And I will say I was very surprised that this conversation came out here in the movie, in a Hallmark movie, because it's a very it's rare. It's not something
rare.
we talk about.
No, but it was just like Dark of Night. It was done with such class.
Mm-hmm.
It was very
and the symbol of going to the movies.
Yes. It's like the perfect metaphor.
When they said that, when Norman said, "I've never really been to the movies," and Oliver's face just fills with this enlightenment. I just went, I dropped my hands and I went, "Brilliant. Martha, you're brilliant."
Mhm.
If we didn't already know that,
Oh my gosh. This was probably, and this is coming from a romantic, Jess, this is probably the best scene in the movie.
Whoa.
I love this scene, and it's probably because it's my sentiments exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's what my husband and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And just for Norman to be so nervous and Oliver to be so soothing. You and Rita
are the movie. That's my favorite line of that. You are the movie. Like, it's just so beautiful.
It is.
You will know your lines and it will be beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay. I haven't completely broken down yet, but I think I'm about to.
I think this scene also just shows the connection and the growth of that relationship with Oliver and Norman, because okay, we don't know a lot about Norman's foster parents. We don't know if he became attached to them. And that's a very awkward discussion to have with anybody, but he
had a forever family, so he was adopted, but we don't know about the relationship with his parents other than they're nice people.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know if did he have an attachment issue because he was adopted after 6 months?
By the way, where were they? Where were Norman's parents at his wedding?
Right in the back. I don't know. But
okay. With the cow.
But the fact that Norman trusts Oliver enough with this very deep and very intimate concern, it's
with such a deep secret. I mean, he hasn't told anybody that.
Right. It just goes to show you how much Norman really considers Oliver as a family and his big brother.
Yeah.
And again, very tastefully done and very it's if you're talking to your children about this type of conversation, that's a great example of how to do it appropriately.
It really is. I mean, it really is. It's a fabulous way to do it.
So very beautiful.
And of course, Oliver has the answer. Just of course he has the answer. Of course he has the perfect way to do it. It's just, oh gosh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's the best scene. It really is. It really is amazing.
And then the wedding of the season. Rita
in an Evelyn Rose dress, by the way.
Yes, that is no smaller than a postage stamp.
With a long veil.
Very long veil. It was very sweet and all. Oh my goodness, the speeches, like the speech of Ramon's.
Yeah, I seriously thought I didn't know where having Ramon perform the ceremony was going to go. I was a little hesitant, I thought, oh no, what's he gonna do?
Start talking about poker.
But no, he did it so beautifully. It was the perfect blend of Ramon's passionate, bold nature put together with words perfect for a wedding ceremony.
Well, Ramon is very spiritual, as
I know, and he proved it. It was really beautiful. I didn't think it would be, and it was totally pulled off. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Because actually, for the most part, I hate wedding movies. Like, I just don't. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise, but I don't.
No, it's not.
But listening to and watching the ceremony for this one was incredibly beautiful, and I think it's just the way that Martha wrote it and how she writes about the kind of the sacredness of marriage, talking about love is the ship that we build with compassion, forgiveness, and faith. It's the dance of life, the greatest contract. And there's just something so sacred about the way she talks about that. And it's no surprise. I mean, she has a book called, Inviting God to Your Wedding and Keeping Him Through the Marriage, or something along those lines, which is actually somewhat referenced during Rita and Shane's talk. They talk about inviting God to the wedding. So that was a fun little Easter egg out there.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was just a very beautiful ceremony with some really great words, especially in a time where many don't mean their vows that they say and don't take marriage to be the sacredness that it should be.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's very true.
And that's about as romantic as I'm gonna get. So
No, that was pretty good. I give it a 7.
Yeah.
I'll move it up in the world, folks.
Because it was heavy on the sentiment, not heavy on the romance. So I give it a 7.
There you go.
You know-
I can be very, I will say, I can be very sentimental. I just don't
Yes,
get
you
gushy.
can.
I just don't get gushy, and I'm not gonna cry.
Well,
No, that's
we're
what
about
we're
to
for.
get gushy because somebody is walking
man.
down the aisle, and the camera panning is so perfect because you can only.
Oh my gosh!
head.
The camera angles! Because you don't notice anything different. You
Yeah.
don't notice anything different, but it doesn't show. It doesn't show below his neck. It's so perfect.
Yeah,
Until you
I loved
see
it.
Shane's face, and she's like walking down the aisle, smiling away. She
Yeah.
gets to the front. She she sees Norman, and then her eyes gaze on Oliver, and their eyes, and then
That tie.
that's
Well, and I think too, what's great about it is like, so when I first watched it, I definitely noticed they were being very intentional with the camera angle.
yes.
Oh, you
Like,
did?
I did notice it, and
See, I didn't.
but I think despite the fact that they're obviously hiding it, I think too that allows us to see it through Shane's eyes. We
Yes.
don't see it
Yes,
until
yes.
she sees it and have the
Yes.
reaction. We don't get to
It's
react
perfect.
until she reacts.
Mhm.
So I think that was kind of fun as well.
Oh, that was
Oh, my
perfect.
goodness. So perfect.
Jess, that was an almost romantic comment.
Oh my, be still my heart.
Oh goodness, I gotta dial it down. My reputation's on the line here.
Well, let's get Rita and Norman married off first.
Right. Let's get them
Let's
married.
get them married off first. They kiss as husband and wife. And Ramon says, "May God bless this marriage," or something like that, doesn't he? As they're
Mhm.
kissing.
Think so?
Yeah. May God bless your marriage.
Yes. Which was so beautiful because it wasn't just, "You may now kiss the bride," and they're kissing and everyone's like, "Whoa!" Like you said, there's a sacredness to this covenant.
I think it's so beautiful because Rita and Norman are making that promise. And we now know that Shane and Oliver are going to make that promise.
Mhm.
So it's a perfect blend. And I love also watching Joe watch them.
Mhm.
You know, he goes during the ceremony, of course he's trying to concentrate on Rita and Norman, but he can't help but look at his son and the woman that he loves, and he knows that he's about to propose to her. It's just,
Yeah, it reminds me
And-
too of In Truth Be Told when he like at the very end he's like looking between them and he sees that spark.
yeah, and poor Shane, she has to go through this whole marriage ceremony knowing that her boyfriend is about to propose to her. I don't know how she kept it together. There's no way I would have been able to.
And nobody else knows about this story
Except Joe. Yeah.
except Joe, but the audience, the wedding audience doesn't
The
know.
wedding audience doesn't.
No busybodies like Hazel. No.
No,
Can't
nobody
spread it.
knows.
Yeah, not even Hazel knows. I like that.
So it's like the secret code that they have.
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys think that Shane and Oliver immediately exited, or do you think that they enjoyed the reception first and then Oliver does his, "Excuse me, Miss McInerney, take a walk with me"?
Hey.
Oh, sorry, wrong universe.
Oh.
I don't think they went out immediately, but I don't think they went out after the entire reception. I think they
Short
found
time.
they started the reception. They found a quiet moment when everything, well, probably a loud moment in the reception, but a point when no one would miss them, because there's no way that either one of them could make it through an entire reception.
I will say, like, okay, so when my husband proposed to me, he sent me a box. It's a very long story. I'll give you the short version. It was a package. We were long distance, and
Okay.
he was in Pennsylvania. I was down in Florida. He sent me a package. He told me I couldn't open it for so many days, and then one random day he told me I could open it. There are 3 boxes in there. I have to open one a day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the first box had something, it had rose petals in it, and it said the past. The next box had puzzle, like, because I told him I really love puzzles. And so I had to put it together, and the message on it said the present. There's 3 boxes, right? And I'm like,
Right.
well, the small tiny box has to say the future, but he said he can't afford to come down to Florida, and there's not going to be a ring in here because that would be weird. And he told me I had to bring that little box to work with me, and then I could open it in the car after work. And so all day I was at work, and I worked at a secretarial office at this point, which is full of ladies.
Oh boy.
Everybody and their mother, except for my bless her heart boss, because she is such a saint, and she told those ladies, she finally said, if Casey doesn't get proposed to this weekend, all of you are going to be on her blacklist. But okay, but my point here is the anticipation. It took a lot of willpower not to get all like, and all the willpower not to just be like, can I leave early and open my little package? And my friends, even my girlfriends at lunch, they're like, let's go to your car. And I'm like, no, Dan will know if I open this early. He will know.
Integrity.
He will know. And so, but yeah, that's 8 hours. By the last hour, I'm like sitting there like, concentrate. I can't imagine having to be proper at a wedding and act like everything's perfectly fine. Things are great. I don't know what the ugly gray tide means, but I really do. And just like the anticipation of like, when is he going to talk to me? When is he going to pull me aside? When is he going to propose? Is he going to do it here on the dance floor? Is he going to do it while everybody's looking? Like,
Yeah, I don't think that they went through the whole reception.
Yeah.
I think they got it started and went out. That's my personal feeling. And how appropriate, because Oliver's not flashy.
No.
And he didn't steal Rita and Norman's thunder. They went outside. It was just the 2 of them.
It was just the 2 of them.
Oh dear. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, okay.
You too.
We can do this without crying.
Are you gonna say it because you got the green tie?
Oh my goodness.
Can y'all get through it?
Whoa, this is a lot of pressure. Don't look at my tie. Look at my eyes and listen to my heart. Oliver! And I think somebody else is gonna have to take it from here because I'm a little bit pitter-twitted.
What?
Mary, hey, hush. I'm continuing. It's like passing the letter. Somebody can't continue, so the other takes over.
Oh boy.
Marry me, and I will love you forever. And I promise never to wear this tie again. It's pretty awful.
And we're gone.
Okay. No. I can do this.
No,
Okay.
my goodness.
My
Also getting
father.
hot in here.
My father picked it out. my father picked it out, I probably would have gone with something more. Yes, Oliver, I will marry you and love you forever.
Oh, and the ring being his grandmother's ring. Yeah, go ahead.
This was my grandmother's. She was the finest
Oh,
woman I ever knew until
you.
Okay, first time I watched it, I was like a bucket of tears.
I know. I was dying. I was sobbing my eyes out.
And like it takes me a lot to get to that point where I'm just like I usually when I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so like crying emojis, it's just like I get tears. But this one was like,
you're actually sobbing.
Give me a bucket and collect my tears. And pick me up from the floor because I've now passed out from the romanticness of this whole scene.
And then if that wasn't enough, we have the
pulling.
Yank!
Oh, the pulling of the top. Oh.
Oliver's face just, what are you contemplating? She slyly and coyly picks up the tie and he's just like, okay, yeah, what? And then this pure joy, pure ecstasy, pure passion.
Oh,
it's all laid out right there.
It is
beautiful.
So beautiful. So beautiful. They do a lot of pull and kiss because he pulls her and kisses her in higher ground. And then she pulls and kisses him. Then to the altar. And she initiates that one too.
Well, yes, but he wasn't kissing her. That moment, you need a kiss.
Yeah. And the proposal, like you said, he has been the one to initiate the I love you. He proposed to Shane, but then she initiates the kiss.
The kiss that seals the proposal.
And then we have the ending in which everybody is so excited for Shane and Oliver. And we hear Norman say, married Postables, engaged Postables.
I love Rita right here because she says, let me see it again, which means that she's been looking at it multiple times.
Yeah.
And it is so Rita to be so excited, but it's also so Rita that she's not the least bit upset that this happened at her wedding. She has no thought that her thunder has been stolen. She has no thought of this is my day. She is so unselfish that all she can do in her wedding dress after the reception is giggle and clap and say, let me see it again. It's such a short moment, but it is full of so many feelings. It's so beautiful. Just the relationship of the four of them. It's so beautiful.
It definitely ties together. And the final toast of the evening. Oh my goodness.
Jess, I think we're going to have to graduate to paper bags.
But the one thing I appreciate about this final scene is everything comes full circle. Oliver gives the first toast and he gives the final toast, at least of the evening here. And it's just such a nice bookend to the canon, because in the pilot movie, his voice is the one we hear first. To the altar, his voice is the one we hear first, and that's a callback to the pilot. But then we also bookend it at this movie. So Oliver gives the final speech because,
It's
Who
the
better
last
to
voice we hear,
give it-
besides the music of Kev Mo, of course.
Right. But I have the speech here. Right now. When we began it together as colleagues, charged with delivering so many lost things, I believe that to everything there is a season, and every lost letter there is a divine purpose. Only today, seeing you, Norman, and you, Rita, so happy, and you, my Shane, my love, promising to love me forever. I can do this. Only now do I realize just how very lost I was, and that your friendship and your faith have delivered me as well. So through rain and snow and dark of night, here we are together, and I love us. To the Postables.
To the Postables.
And
To
then
the Postables.
those last 3 words, to the Postables. Everybody who's been a fan of this series knows it's a double meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that line and that speech just wraps it up so beautifully for everybody, for them as the 4 Postables, for us as the fans, because I mean, without the fans, there would be no show.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been canceled a very long time ago. Maybe they would not have gone into movies. Maybe they would have just said, okay, and we're done. We're going to move on. But because they're such a loyal and such a terrific fan base, that's, you know, and it's the Postables that pushed for another movie after To the Altar.
Mm-hmm.
What a family.
What a family.
Postables are the reason we got another movie.
Mhm.
Or are getting another movie.
We're getting in-
Postables are the reason we have this podcast. I mean,
and
I feel like we need to be toasting like people right now.
oh yeah,
Where's our glasses?
here we go.
To the Postables.
To the Postables.
To the Postables.
And one thing I want to say, and I on our other podcast with that Cammie and I do, we talked to Brian Burt, who's actually a great friend of Martha, by the way. And we were actually talking about the Hardys, but this also rings true for the Postables too. The movies are going to have to end sometime. I mean, they won't go on forever as much as we would want them to, and that we would love for them to. Any series is like that, but the legacy lives on through us. And I think, Jess, you even mentioned that too when we were talking in the Thanksgiving episode. And that's the one thing that we'll always have. And that's the one thing that the show has brought.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we get one, even if the next movie is truly the last one, I just want to encourage you Postables out there, take heart, because we can always rewatch the entire series again. But then there's this community of friends that we would never have had we not had the show. And
right.
those friendships and those personal connections, those are the true ones that really, truly matter. And so just a little bit of encouragement if you're feeling a little sad about the possibility of this beautiful, wonderfully written movie, show, canon, series, and
we'll always have the Postables.
and we'll
always have the Postables.
The legacy will live on, and the lessons, the many lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, we don't want any of you to worry out there, because this is not the last episode.
Yes, we have more episodes scheduled. We are not done reporting on Signed, Sealed, Delivered just because we're at the last movie. So
Nope.
don't leave us.
Since we're going there, state of the podcast. We have now finished recapping every single episode and movie. We have interviewed so many guests. I mean, people I would, at this time last year, this was just a thought in our minds. This was not even a thing yet. And so where do we go from here? We have been pumping an episode out every week since March. I think we missed 1 week and then we took a break during Christmas. Because there are no more movies to recap, what we're going to do is currently and because we want to still keep this relevant, because we are getting another movie, we're going to stop our weekly episodes and we're going to try to do every other week. It might be every couple weeks, just depending on scheduling, because we do have surprise, I don't live here in the DLO, even if you thought that the last 45 weeks, but I do not live here in the DLO. And also to, I know there have been postables out there who have suggested, oh, get this person on, get this person on, get this person on. There's also a matter of scheduling. And so if we can't get that scheduled, we're not going to have an episode to record. We'll also be doing some bonus movie recaps that Eric, Kristen, Crystal, Jeff have been in. Anything that is related to a lost letter that has also crossed our minds. We just don't have something planned for every week. Because one, it is a lot of work, and we don't want to burn it out. We don't want to burn it out. We don't want to, let's say we have 3 months, and let's say the next movie is going to happen in October. We don't want a huge gap between our episodes and the next movie. Right. So we just want to space it out so that that this podcast and Signed, Sealed, Delivered still stays relevant. So just wanted to give you all that. So we're spacing out, but we're not leaving. We're not leaving.
We're still here.
Watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep tuning in. Anytime there's a marathon, we'll be there at some point. Yes. And we're still going to keep bringing you episodes.
And we have some pretty good ideas coming your way.
We have some pretty darn good ideas coming your way. Yes. we have been on the computer a lot this past week. Let's put it that way. And because I know there will be comments out there like, get this person. Like if you've thought it, we've thought it.
We've thought it, yeah.
Trust me and trust the timing.
Oh, mic drop.
But anyways,
on Casey.
I hope you enjoyed our recaps of To the Altar, and we will see you back again soon. So bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Deliver Me a Podcast. If you want to know what's going to happen next week, be sure you are following us on Twitter at Deliver Me a Pod and on Instagram at Deliver Me a Podcast. We also have a merch store where you can buy tons of Postables things for you and your friends. We'll see you next week.